What if the Winchester Mystery House was real? On the last day of 1880, Oliver Winchester died in New Haven, Connecticut, at the age of 70. He had built the Winchester Repeating Arms Company into the largest firearms manufacturer in the world. The lever-action Winchester rifle, designed by Benjamin Tyler Henry and improved by Oliver's adopted son William, armed the Union Army in the Civil War. The same rifle armed the Turkish army against the Russians, the settlers heading west, and the hunters, soldiers, and lawmen who carried it across the frontier. By some counts, the rifle killed more than 1 million people. A month later, on March 7, 1881, William Wirt Winchester, the only heir, died of tuberculosis in New York. He was 43 years old. His wife, Sarah Pardee Winchester, was 41. They had been married for 19 years. They had no children. If you are new to this channel, subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Let's get into tonight's case. In 1883, a year after William's death, Sarah Winchester visited a medium in Boston. The medium's name is sometimes given as Adam Coons. The details vary. What does not vary is what the medium told her. The spirits of the people killed by Winchester rifles were coming for Sarah. They were coming for the widow, the heir, the woman who had benefited from the deaths. Sarah was being haunted. She was being hunted. The only way to survive was to keep building, keep moving, keep the construction crews working on her house day and night for the rest of her life. As long as construction never stopped, the spirits would never find her. As long as the sound of hammers and saws filled the air, the ghosts would be confused. They would not be able to settle. They would not be able to find Sarah. A medium cannot be wrong. A séance cannot lie. Sarah Winchester believed what she was told. In 1884, she left New Haven. She moved to San Jose, California. She bought an unfinished farmhouse on 145 acres of land and ordered the construction crews to begin. They would not stop for 38 years. San Jose in 1884 was a small agricultural town in the Santa Clara Valley, 2,000 miles from the New England Sarah Winchester had left. The house she bought was an 8-room farmhouse on a hilltop, perched above the orchards and the railroad. The land cost her $6,500. The work cost her the rest of her life. She hired a crew of carpenters, masons, plumbers, and craftsmen, 16 men at first, and instructed them to build continuously. The crew worked shifts around the clock. They worked in the dark and through the rain. They were never told what the finished house would look like. Sarah herself handed them a new set of plans every day or every week, often sketched on brown butcher paper in the middle of the night. The cost of the construction was enormous. Sarah spent roughly $5.5 million in 1890s money, more than $90 million in modern dollars, more than $20,000 a day, every day, for 38 years. 20% of the entire United States gross national product in a single year. Crews, architects, mediums, and the men who came out to the house at 2 a.m. to consult the spirits on a specific design question, Sarah paid them all. The money went out the door as fast as it came in. The money was not the point. What mattered was the noise, the movement, the constant sound of hammers driving nails into wood, saws cutting timber, crews walking the hallways at 3 a.m, every morning, for 38 years. As long as the noise never stopped, the ghosts could not settle. As long as the construction never stopped, Sarah Winchester would live. Sarah Winchester held a séance every night in her bedroom on the 2nd floor of the house. The room was paneled in dark wood with heavy curtains, a round table in the center, and a single window that she kept locked. The mediums she consulted changed over the years, but Adam Coons was the most consistent. He came out to San Jose from Boston on the railroad every few months and stayed for weeks at a time. He conducted the seances. He listened. He relayed the messages. The messages were architectural and oddly specific. A particular stair must be built in a particular direction. A particular door must open onto a particular wall. A particular window must face a particular compass point. Sarah Winchester would receive the instruction at 3 in the morning, and the construction crews would begin the new work at dawn. The medium, Adam Coons, was not a fraud. He believed what he was doing. He kept a record of the seances, a journal of instructions, in his own handwriting. The journal survives. It is in the Winchester Mystery House archive. It is mostly mundane. Some of it is bizarre. Some of it is consistent across multiple sessions. The dead wanting the same architectural detail, the same compass alignment, the same number of stairs. The mediums also advised Sarah on the use of the number 13. The number 13 appears in the house in staircases with 13 steps, in panels with 13 sections, in doorknobs placed on the 13th step of a stair. The dead, Sarah was told, liked the number 13. The dead liked to be reminded of the 13 months they had lost. The seances continued every night for the rest of Sarah's life. The mediums continued to come. The construction crews continued to work. The house grew. By the time Sarah Winchester died in 1922, the house had grown to 160 rooms, connected by 47 fireplaces, 10,000 windows, 2 elevators, 52 skylights, and more than 6 miles of hallways. The architectural details of the house have been catalogued in surveys conducted by the California Historical Society in 1986, by the American Institute of Architects in 2004, and by the University of California at Berkeley in 2017. None of this is the work of a sane architect, and not a single one, but the cumulative output of 38 years of changes, redrawn daily, sometimes hourly, by a woman who believed the next plan was the one that would finally fool the dead. Staircases lead to ceilings. Doors open onto walls 2 feet of solid plaster behind the hinges, and windows look down onto the rooms below. A seance room on the 2nd floor holds a built-in organ where Sarah held her nightly sessions. A second room has 1,000 holes drilled into the wall, one for every seance Sarah ever held, and a window shaped like a keyhole sits in a hidden alcove, looking onto the garden in a place only Sarah knew about. The most famous detail is the staircase to nowhere. It has 44 steps. It rises 7 stories. It ends at a ceiling. The top step lands against the plaster, 2 feet below the roof. Visitors climb it and stop, looking up at the ceiling, looking back down the 7 flights they have already climbed, and wonder what the architect was thinking. The architect was not an architect. The architect was a medium, and a grieving widow, and a woman who believed that the next wall she added, the next door she sealed, the next chimney she raised, would finally keep the dead out. The construction crew of the Winchester Mystery House was never fewer than 16 men. By the late 1890s, the crew was closer to 60. The crew changed daily. Sarah would order a section of wall removed on a Tuesday, the same wall rebuilt by Thursday, a door added on a Friday, the door sealed on a Monday. The work was continuous and deliberate, and, according to Sarah, the only thing standing between her and the dead. An estimated 2,000 carpenters worked the house over the 38 years, all of them paid in cash, all paid above the going rate, all paid extra to work at night and to take instructions from a woman who would sometimes walk the house at 3 in the morning in a long black dress, hair down, candle in hand. They were paid, in essence, not to ask questions. The cost of the construction was not a business decision, but a survival one. The price of the noise, the price of the daily redesign, the price of a seance, a medium, an instruction from a dead rifle victim, and a new set of plans drawn before dawn. The construction did not stop until the morning of September 5th, 1922. On that morning, Sarah Winchester was found dead in her bedroom on the 2nd floor. She was 83 years old. The cause of death was heart failure. The carpenters walked off the job. The work stopped. The house has not been altered since. Within a year of Sarah's death, the Winchester Mystery House was opened to the public as a museum. The first tours were conducted by members of Sarah's own staff, who had been with her for decades and who knew the house room by room. The tours quickly became a sensation. The first year, the house drew more than 70,000 visitors, an enormous number for a private home in 1923. Today, the Winchester Mystery House draws more than 500,000 visitors a year from every state in the country and from more than 50 countries. The tour is sold out most days, and the house is preserved exactly as Sarah left it. In the seance room, the organ still stands against the wall. The round table still sits in the center, and the chair Sarah sat in every night, facing the door, waiting for the message from the dead, has not been moved. In 2018, the story was made into a film. The Winchester, starring Helen Mirren as Sarah Winchester, opened at the box office in February of that year. The film took liberties with the historical record, but the central story was correct. A widow, a fortune, a message from the dead, a house built to confuse them. The film grossed $25 million in its first weekend. It confirmed that the public, more than a century after Sarah's death, was still asking the question. The house is still owned by the Winchester Mystery House, LLC, a private company that has operated the museum since 1923. The company is run by the descendants of Sarah's personal secretary, who inherited the property under Sarah's will. The secretary's name was Frank Leiter. He served Sarah for 30 years. He kept the secrets. He never spoke about what he saw in the house at night. It is August 5th, 2026. The Winchester Mystery House is open for tours. The seance room is restored to the exact state Sarah left it in. The organ sits against the wall. The round table sits in the center. The chair sits where Sarah sat, facing the door. The window at the end of the seance room, the one shaped like a keyhole, is open to the garden. The sun comes in at 3 in the afternoon, the way it always has. Every year, more than 500,000 people walk through the house. They climb the staircase to the ceiling. They look up at the wall behind the door that opens to nothing. They count windows, fireplaces, the 13 steps. They stand in the seance room and wait for a few seconds for something to move. Some of them feel something. Some of them do not. The architectural surveys, the historical surveys, the academic surveys, all agree on the facts of the house. The surveys do not agree on the question. Subscribe for a new story every night at 8 p.m. Never miss a case. What if the Winchester Mystery House was real?